that?
Having any fun?
Yeah, we did a dry run on it, so she's good. And she's on right now. Okay. Vicki, can you hear me?
Vicki, do you have a song?
I hear you.
All right. Is it 7? Yes, it's 7. You ready? Okay. Good evening. We're going to call the work session for April 7th to order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Sabosley, take it away.
One second here. Okay, under planning and economic development, our first item is Geo Solutions. Geo Solutions, I think we talked about this last month, is looking to come in and build a building on Greensburg Road next to the bus garage. DJ, the first item on here is their lot consolidation plan.
Yeah, we're just accepting it at this month's meeting. So you guys will hear probably a presentation at next month's meetings.
Not
So-
next week's meeting, next month.
Next month, yeah. So typically, we accept applications as complete. The applicant works with KU Resources on those items, and then hopefully, we have them advanced enough to, at the May meeting, approve their application for the consolidation plan.
So that's not going to be an agenda item.
The agenda item is to accept the application as complete.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 2, Geo Solutions, the same project. We have been made aware by the applicant that the DEP is going to require a sewage planning module for that. DJ, this is going to be some sort of tank?
Yeah, Sam and I talked about it this afternoon. It's going to be a holding tank, similar to a porta-john. Periodically, they'll have a honey dipper come in and vacuum it out, clean it out for them, but it'll just be a holding tank at the facility, unless if or when public sewers are extended up Greensburg Road for them to tie into.
For the whole building?
Do we know how many, is it a 2,000 gallon tank, do we know?
I don't have that information. They, as part of this consolidation plan, the previous item, there was the hope that they wouldn't have to account for restrooms or anything in this building. And I think the entire concept of this is basically the floor drains. DEP says you can't tie those into a storm sewer. So they're doing this basically for whatever may go into a floor drain. So it's probably not going to fill up with any kind of frequency, even if it's small, unless they decide to add restrooms into this building later. So
So are they allowed to have a building without a restaurant?
So if you remember, as part of the consolidation plan, they'll be buying a building that already exists, that already has restrooms.
So where's that going?
the existing building, if you're looking at it north-south, the existing building is to the east of the property they're buying. They're buying that the existing building along with this new vacant piece.
See right here.
The warehouse, I guess, is the best way to put it, will be on the new property. And the original plan was to put restrooms in it. When this office space opened up, they said they'll buy that in addition to the vacant piece. So they hope not to do the bathroom, and now it sounds like they may or may not. It's still kind of up in the air because this is a relatively new thing. They kind of rushed to even get the application into us for this deadline. So
Well, who's going to, this doesn't go to DEP, does it?
it will after, like, we're just one of the steps. After us, it'll go to Allegheny County Health, and then after
Yes.
them, it'll go on to DEP.
What I'd be interested in is who's going to inspect it from time to time? Us or who?
County.
It'd be on county health for the most part.
Well, let's make sure whatever we strike with them, it says that.
Yeah, so we're just going to authorize us to sign off on the sewage planning module that will be that'll be sent to DEP for review.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 3, this may sound familiar to you, the Wannagot Plan of Lots, which was approved by council last year. From time to time, we get these projects that come through where the engineer or the surveyor doesn't record the plan in time. So after the plan is approved by by council, it must be recorded by within 90 days, which obviously they didn't do. So they are back in front of council asking for a reapproval of this subdivision.
This happens in every community I represent. The developers have a difficult time getting them recorded on time.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, agenda item.
We have 2 items in personnel and management. They were both executive session items. Moving to public safety, item number 6 is an agreement between the school district and the police department. It's a memorandum of understanding, and there's a draft of it in your packet. And Lanny indicates this is probably the 3rd MOU that he's been involved with the high school. This has already been reviewed by their solicitor, which is our solicitor, and approved by the school board. But in essence, this agreement talks about how both parties interact with each other in a lawful manner, and they look at our relationship with them, trying to improve those. So, Bruce, when I look at this, there's just basic things about how the police respond to.
I've seen it before.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fairly standardized.
Yep. So the current MOU that we have expires at the end of June. The new agreement is a 2-year agreement that would go from July 1st of this year through June 30th of 2027.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
Item number 7, an ordinance, parking and solicitation for the U.S. Open. As you well know, and you've heard, our police department has been working with the USGA for at least the last year on planning for the U.S. Open. As part of this, the USGA has approached the borough, asking them to adopt an ordinance restricting parking and vendor activity in that area during the U.S. Open. Now, this is not something new to us. Back in 2016, the borough adopted an ordinance that was almost exactly the same as this. So in your packet, you'll see the proposed ordinance. And what it does is it allows the residents of the identified areas to continue to park at their property. If I live on Pennsylvania Avenue, I'll have a sticker that allows me to continue doing that. What it does is it keeps the people who live outside of Plum who are coming to the U.S. Open from parking in the street. And that would be in effect for, it's either 6 or 7 days in June. And like I said, this is exactly what we did back in 2016, and I believe it worked very well.
Is that just for the 909, or is it the side streets?
Yeah, so if you look in your packet, there's a map that shows the exact areas. Let me see if I can find it for you.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, so if you look on your screen, you can see the area with the streets listed.
It's on your computer.
So Halton Road, Haskell Lane, Pennsylvania, Lincoln, Jefferson, Franklin Avenue, Woodland Avenue, Keystone, Northern, Eastern, Center Avenue, Marath, and Ridgemead Fields.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I don't see the high rises over there, Oakmont.
Yeah, so Ridgemead Fields is the area that goes through Longwood.
Okay.
Yes.
But are you talking about the high rise, but that's at Oakmont?
No.
Oh, you're talking Longwood.
Longwood, yeah.
Yeah, that's an us.
The other question I have, are the residents they're gonna give them to them, or do they have to come down and apply for it and pick one up?
I believe the USGA is going to give it to them.
I mean, they have to they'll go around?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right,
yes.
that's the question.
Yes. Whether they're walking or mailing them, I cannot tell you.
But
Yes.
they don't have to go someplace and pick one
That is
up.
correct. That is correct.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 3, or actually item number 8, it's item 3 in public safety. Just authorizing the police to apply for a grant. They're looking to apply for a grant for about $26,000 to help start the replacement of their computer equipment, on the in-car computer equipment. Talking with Jason Mugley, he says that equipment takes a beating, and $26,000 would cover about 28% of our existing in-car fleet. So the grant is actually through Firehouse Subs Foundation, and the police saw this grant opportunity, and they're trying to get some grant funding to help with the replacement of that equipment.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
Okay, moving to Parks and Recreation, item number 9 on our agenda. Give me 1 second here. So our staff has been meeting for probably the last year or so with the PBSA about proposed improvements to their batting cage facility. Last year and even into this year, we had met with them, and basically they wanted to replace it in the same area, which we had no problem with. We just needed them to stay off the walking path and sort of stay clear of the main area coming off the bridge so that during Fall Fest, we had that area to move around. They decided that it would be in their best interest to try and move it as you see on the monitor in front of you. If you look, it's really behind the right field fence for field number 1. So they have submitted to us an application for an improvement to a borough-owned facility, which we require. As you can see in front of you, they have a stamped drawing from their engineer about the facility, these poles and nets for the batting cages. So my understanding is there'll be 4 batting cages, and there's some areas here, I think, for pitchers to warm up. The Borough Public Works Department will work with the PBSA. They're going to need electricity out to the site. So we haven't figured out yet whether the easiest way is just to trench an area for conduit to come out, or try and come off. There's a pole right in this area right here along the walkway, along the right field side of field number 1. So that's to be determined, but what we're looking for is council to weigh in on this batting cage proposal.
So that's where the old field number 2 was?
Yeah, I get 2 and 4 mixed up. I can never keep it straight.
4 was closer to the creek.
Yeah, field number 4 is now like a T-ball field with just cut-off
Okay.
bases.
So they're gonna move, so the batting cages used to be between 2 and 4.
Right.
Now they're moving it to 2.
Right, so you look, Paul, if you see right
Yeah,
here,
that's what I was
here's where they used to be,
Right,
and then they're proposing where the red lines are to put them right here.
okay.
In all actuality, Dave, that works out better for us.
It does. It stays a little further away from our Fall Fest. It keeps them a little further away from the walkway. So I think it's a win-win.
It's also a little further away from where the creek usually floods too.
True,
That's helpful stuff.
true.
Yeah, just make sure that they get the electrical inspected.
We will. And, they've been working, like I say, on this for about a year. They actually have some grant money that they procured from the state. So good for them, and we look forward to working with them to get that moving.
They're gonna try
If
to get
council
this
approves
done- They're gonna try to get this done before the start of the season?
I'm unaware,
It's more
yeah,
like a half a
It's
month.
not gonna happen.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty wet down there right now,
Any
too.
questions or comments?
I have a question. So are they leaving the softball batting cages that are at like the end of 7 and 8? Are they just?
Yeah, so-
removing this one?
So there's only 1 cage there, right? Is there more than 1?
I remember there was like the ones with 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then there was the ones on the
Yeah,
end.
so the ones
had
at
the
7
bait.
and 8, they're not going to touch those. So that'll still give people an opportunity to use that, as well as the new facility.
Good question. Any other questions or comments? Agenda item.
Item number 10, once again, PBSA, it's an improvement to a borough-owned facility. If you look at the drawing right here, a little bit lower on your monitor, as you know, when we demolished the old borough building, we got rid of the borough building and all those accessory buildings. So for years, the PBSA kept some field dirt over in that area, so they have no place to put it. So they're asking to put like a stone bin wall right here, with some asphalt in there. So they're going to have that material donated, and I think we're going to work with them on the asphalt. It is outside of the right-of-way for Ross Hollow, and we would hope that they would get that in. It's just adjacent to that dumpster that sits there, but it gives them a place to put the dirt for now.
Any questions or comments? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 11, the third one under Parks and Recreation. We're looking further at some grant opportunities, and T-Mobile has a hometown grant program that offers up to $50,000 to various groups, including municipalities. If you remember a few years ago, we had done some improvements up at Logan's Ferry Park, and we'd put a brand-new playground in there, and this $50,000 would allow us to extend that area to put a swing or swing sets in that area, just to extend the recreation area. So, DJ, there's no match on this grant, correct?
Correct. It's a very small amount with the 50 grand, but yeah, there's no match.
Yep. So we're just looking for permission to apply for the grant.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
Item number 12, grant application. So sticking with Logan's Ferry Heights, we do have some problems up there. A few years ago when we did that project, we did do some improvements to that basketball court, but at the time we knew it was sort of a Band-Aid. Now we have issues with, there's a retaining wall along Memorial that is starting to lean a little bit. The fencing needs replaced, and the actual basketball surface needs replaced, just like we did at Renton Park. It needs to be milled off with a base and the top put on there. So like I said, what we did before was a Band-Aid up there, and we're starting to see cracks in the surface. We feel that we can get through the next year or so with those cracks, but they certainly need replaced. So we're asking for permission to apply for a grant for just equipment up in this area. And what we plan on doing to maintain costs, if you remember at the Renton pickleball courts, our Public Works Department built a very nice retaining wall there, very nice. And the wall at this park is nowhere near that size, height, length, but we feel we can save significant dollars by having the Public Works Department work on that. So we've already had some conversations with Mr. Binney about that, and it's certainly something they can do, but this is a 2026 project for us, but we want to get ahead of it and apply for this grant.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
Okay, that's all for Parks and Recreation. We're moving to Finance. In Finance, Mike Whittico approached me about an electric supplier agreement. So we've been under an agreement right now for the sale of electricity. Mike says that his estimate is we've probably saved over the last few years about $124,000 by signing up with an electrical supplier. Our agreement is currently going to end. Mike had been working with this Crystalline Energy to look for suppliers and get bids. Finance Department's recommendation is that we sign an agreement for electricity supply, realizing that the number that we're going to agree to is higher than what we have right now. But what Crystalline Energy is telling us, and we agree that in the next few months, the rates are going to go higher than the 9.1 that's being offered to us. So what we're asking council to do is allow us to sign an agreement with Crystalline Energy for supply of electricity over the next few years. It's a 36-month agreement.
Have we looked at other suppliers to see exactly what they are charging?
So Crystalline Energy sort of shops it around. And so I think Mike said they probably talked to more than a dozen different suppliers.
Okay.
So we're confident that this rate is the lowest rate available.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
This is a different topic, but it's similar with energy, natural gas. you know, the corner down there we own on New Texas in Leechburg. There's a gas well in the middle of that. My understanding is at one time that gas well was very charged and very, very active, very full. I know we talked, I did speak with Mr. Thomas about this some years ago, and he was very interested in having it looked into to see if it was still a viable possibility that either we use it with what we do down there, or maybe their municipal authority, you know. I just wondered if maybe we can keep that in the back of our memory to look up on that, just to see what it's doing.
So this is the lot that we purchased recently?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We can talk offline about that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, agenda item?
Okay, moving to roads, equipment, and grounds. So we've talked about Barnes Road for a number of months. At the last, I think back at the February meeting, council authorized us to go out to bid for the replacement. That road has been sliding for a number of years. In fact, we did core borings there probably back just around the time COVID started in 2020. But our engineer, KU Resources, gave us an engineering estimate that the job would be worth about $397,000. We did receive 12 bids on this, ranging from about $397,000 to $1.2 million. So there was a wide variety there. We have had a number of issues with the low bidder. In fact, we are recommending to council that we disqualify the initial bidder, the low bidder, just at not being a responsible contractor. The contractor agrees with us and has given us something in writing.
State his name, put his name on the record, sir.
So Grit Contracting was the low bidder at $397,000. Plum Contracting is the next low bidder at $427,000-ish. We are recommending that we disqualify Grit as a contractor who is not a responsible contractor and move to the next lowest bidder, which would be Plum Contracting, that we know is a responsible bidder and can do the job.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
Item number 15, Coxcomb Hill Project, change order number 1. So if you remember, we did receive a Green Light Go grant to work on 2 intersections on Coxcomb Hill Road. The first was the Sheets intersection, right at Coxcomb and Halton Road. The second one is at Coxcomb Hill and Ramparts Boulevard. And the work at this intersection will be replacing the poles, the mast arms, the lights. The contractor has run into a problem as far as trying to get the new cabling and junction boxes and things put in, something that wasn't anticipated by our engineer, and the request, which has been recommended by our traffic engineer, is a change order in the amount of, I don't have it in front of me, it's about $7,500, $7,580. You can see that project is already underway. I don't know if you've driven by there recently, but the recommendation is to approve this.
That's for electrical?
Yeah, so right now, what they had to do is they have, and DJ, maybe you can speak to this, they have a temporary setup there in order to keep it going, but if you want to describe it a little bit better.
Sure, they had done their one calls during the design phase. There's a section of conduit and gas line running parallel with the road on the far side from the entrance to Ramparts. One of those two wasn't marked during the design phase. And it's a weird layout when you see it. It kind of circles back around the road and doesn't make much sense. But the problem they're having is to place the new pole in the area, there's a good chance they're going to hit one or the other. So they want to run temporary conduit up the one pole and across the intersection and down the pole. That'll give them the ability to cut the line to set the pole, and then after the pole's in, then they can do their permanent connections, and then they'll remove that temporary overhead. This change order is, as they explained, is basically to cover their labor and their traffic. They're gonna eat the cost of the temporary line that's gonna be overhead. Of course, they'll take it with them when they leave, but
Yeah,
they tried to work with us as much as they could,
yeah,
so.
I think that's a good price for what you just described. Any other questions or comments?
So this is because it wasn't identified during the one-call process?
I believe that's true.
That's not, they don't do that, right? That's the state that does that, or somebody who tells you where things are supposed to be?
Yeah, you do your one call, and I think Charlie will agree. When you do design one calls, it's very loose on how the utility companies work with us. They're not even required to mark the lines at the site. They give you a plan, which in the case of most of these utilities is a not-to-scale GIS map, and you're lucky if you can even tell what side of the road the utility's on. And then when it comes to construction, then the utility companies are required to come mark it. And in this case, it happened to be where they had designed for the pole post part of the mount to be, so.
I think they do it the other way around, so they get it right, and you won't have these. It's frustrating. State's wonderful.
Well, I think it's pretty good, it's only 7,500, that's not bad for what you just described, what they have to do. Any other questions or comments? Agenda item.
Item number 16, third one under roads, equipment, and grounds, is that we're asking council's permission to apply for a grant. We're calling this Holiday Park Phase 4 Stormwater, and it's going to pick up, we had Phase 1, 2, 3, and 2.5. I think 2.5 we just finished last year, or it's still underway, but we're going to apply for a grant. It's a PA Small Water and Sewer Grant Program, where you can apply for up to $500,000. And we're going to continue to work on replacing these lines that over the years have deteriorated between properties where we have easements, possibly a culvert in there too. So we're just asking for permission right now, but we don't have the final plan together, but we will have it for you in May before the application is made. But basically, we're just continuing what's been done in the first 3 or 4 phases of this, replacing old lines in Holiday Park.
Questions or comments? Okay, that's an agenda item.
Last item, item number 17. Once again, the Community Development Department is looking to apply for a grant with Public Works for Drennan Road. And for those of you who don't know Drennan Road, and I don't know if I have it on my drawings here, I don't. It connects off of Greensburg Road and comes up toward Renton Road. And on that road, we have a culvert that is starting to show some issues, some deterioration. DJ and Bill met with the Conservation District out on site to look at that. So we're trying to put together a plan, but this is something that would be a 2026 or 2027 project, and we're looking for permission to apply for this grant through the CFA Flood Mitigation Grant Program.
Questions or comments? Agenda item.
That's all I have.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.